Okay, so that was, you said that was when everything was good and before sin entered the world. Okay. I guess how does that, uh, you're saying that there's a time element within the text that is not being accounted for in this person's interpretation. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. Mhm. Yeah. 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 Okay. So it's more of a be sober minded type thing rather than dealing with Jim. Okay. Right. Well, so within the prompts, right? This is like an example to think about. So the young man believes that he's more spiritually sensitive when he's under the influence. Which spirit? Yeah, yeah, right. So that would be one thing to um, definitely mention, right? Talk about. It's like, okay, let's assume that what you're saying is true, and you're more spiritually sensitive when you're under the influence of marijuana. Okay, what in your life has that led to? So I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, what's the product of being high? Like, oh, I'm more spiritually sensitive. Cool. Has that driven you closer to Christ or away from Christ? Has that made you more, more, for lack of a better term, a more productive Christian or a less productive Christian? Like, have you have you been adding to His kingdom, or has it made you more susceptible to Cheetos, Fritos, and Doritos? Like, what's going on here? So like that would be one thing, right? So just take the person at their word, assume it's true, and then just go, okay, what are the consequences of this? It seems like the consequences are bad, so maybe your understanding of spiritually sensitive is flawed. So it's like assume the premise is true, but then show the bad consequences. Therefore, the premise must be wrong. Yes. Yes. That was so. That's First Corinthians, 6, 6:12. Yep. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. However, that profitable. That word for expedient is, yeah, to be profitable. So something that profits you. Advantageous. Okay. This, yeah, to be of an advantage to someone. So it's like, okay. And I would want to, like, with this, there's some context of like Paul is responding to a common phrase that the Corinthians are using to justify doing certain things. So they're like, look, all things are lawful in me. And then his response is, but not all things are profitable. Not all things will be helpful to you, right? All things are lawful for me. So he repeats it again. It's like, okay, but I will not be brought under the power of any. And that would be like that phrase right there. I will not be brought under, like, I will not be enslaved to anything except Christ. Food, right? So that's, yeah. Let's go back to Genesis, right? And behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, every tree in which the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat or smoke. Right? It'll be for however I want to use it. That I. There's the, yeah. See, you just, there's a, yeah, yeah. Anyone against processed food? Anyone? Yeah, highly processed, right? Foods probably not the best, but that's so. Right. Yeah. You're, yeah. No. Like I guess. Anyway, anyways, never mind. But this, the context of this, you're exactly right. So if this young man who's talking to the youth leader and is trying to find biblical support for using pot and quotes this verse, the problem hermeneutically is that this is talking about food, and the way that this young man is using it, not for food, right? Now, we are dabbling in some other scriptures to be like, okay, you shouldn't be brought under the power of anything. You should be sober minded. Like, all of those things are also true and good. But as far as like, that's a misapplication of this text. If they're trying to use this text to justify their use of marijuana, it's incorrect because it's for food. And that's what it's talking about. You had a question. Hmm. Yep. Spirit. Um, right. Um, oh, Pharmakeia. Yeah. Yeah. So you'd want to be careful with that jump, because we would want to use the word, like it comes from the word pharmakeia, right? It's translated witchcraft or sorcery. So that means in the first century, when this word was used, that's what it means. Now, now we get our word for pharmaceuticals from the same Greek root, or but that's not, we're not necessarily, like, it doesn't mean the same thing. So we're as far as like a word study type exegetical, like we're trying to pull meaning out of a text. We want it to say, the text says what it says based on the understanding of the first century. And you might be inputting pharmaceuticals, right? Our own understanding of what basically a root word of a different language means. So that step might be, we'd want to be careful, um, as far as like doing a word study like that. And we would, yeah, because now you're importing the understanding of pharmaceuticals, which someone in the first century wouldn't have any idea what you're talking about, right? So you're putting that into Pharmakeia, and then making an application based on our understanding of the 21st century. Does that step make sense? Use of magic, often involving drugs, casting spells upon people, practice magic, cast spells to engage in sorcery, black magic. Right. It's the. Mhm. So yeah, it's translated witchcraft, and it's emphasizing like magic. I think so. Yeah, I'm trying to think of it in the context of the first century. Um, right. Shaman. Yeah, which kind of circles back around to, oh, say again? Yeah. Maybe. Right. If you guys, right. Right. So, but okay. So, like, maybe to expand on that a little bit. So, so what you're saying, Tammy, is that it's not the same thing because we're not like using it in a religious context, right? We're using it in a in our culture. Yeah. Right. And then should you listen to? So, have you guys ever seen those videos of people coming out of anesthesia where they're just like saying the wildest stuff? Like, what if you listened to that person and then decided to like govern your life based on what they told you? Like, I don't know, maybe not a good idea. I'm not saying that's the same thing as what was going on. And what I'm saying is like back in the first century, like there's still cultures in the world today that are similar to how the first century, that mindset. And like, would you do that today? It's like, right. So that goes back to First Corinthians, text in First Corinthians, which would be First Corinthians 6. And it's this idea of being brought under the power of anything, right? Now, in this context, Paul's actually talking about fornication, right? Now, the body is not for fornication, but for the Lord, right? And the Lord is for the body. You both, and God hath both raised up the Lord, and will also raise up us by his own power. Know ye not that your bodies are members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them members of a harlot? So it's like, why are you using your bodies for sexual fornication when when you're connected to Christ and now you're bringing Christ into that? What are you doing? Like, well, sexual needs are that's just part of being human, you know? The meat for the body and the body for meat, right? And that's it right here. Meats for the belly and the belly for meats. You have certain physical needs, right? You need to eat, right? You see the argument that's being made? Look, if you need to eat and you eat food, great. That's just a natural desire that comes up because you have a body. Sexual desires are the same. And so, how do you meet those? Well, go down to the temple prostitute and satisfy that need. It's really simple, Paul. It's not a big deal. And especially in the context of Corinth, where like sexual fornication, like it was known for fornication, like throughout the world. Like to go there was, and then like to behave like them was to be Corinthianized. Like they made it like a verb or a description. Right, yeah. What stays in Vegas, or what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Yeah, and so yeah. Unless you got the yeah. Unless you got the clap. All right, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Hey, I was right there with you. But yeah. I didn't know what you were talking about. So yeah, just made a little. I know. I know. See, and then I tagged up, and I was like, "Ha, make this funny," and now that was. I know. That was inappropriate. I'm sorry. It's an adult Sunday school class. What am I doing here? All right. So, but this would be a good. Also, this would be a good passage to bring for a multitude of applications, right? Because you can be brought under the power of many, many, many things. Anything. Right? If it's guiding your decision making, like, or if you can't tell yourself no, you are a slave to it. Like, yeah, pride of life. Right? If you can't tell yourself no, you're under the power of whatever that is. It could be like, but I really want to buy that luchador mask at the fair. Like, I didn't buy it. I told myself no. But it was there for $25, and I was like, that's way too much. That, like, when am I ever gonna wear this? Except at the pumpkin pump at work. It's like a work thing, right? See, I could wear it as a costume for the Halloween party at work for climbing, and so much fun. It's like $25. Yep, trying to right. Like, I'm running through all the reasons what I can make up to justify buying it. It's like, right. Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Mm. Make it a God thing. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It could be just like what other people think about me that controls me. That's like, oh, I need to please everybody. And being like a hyper people pleaser, now you're under the control of all these other people or your perception of their perception of you. You're under the control of that, which is like three steps removed from reality, which is wild, right? But like, don't be brought under the power of any. Whose power should you be under? For the Lord. Lord. Yeah, the Sunday school answer fits here. Right. It's Jesus. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yep. 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 Where you put patriotism over your commitment to. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it can happen to anything. You're in a, yeah. Yeah. Or it's almost like you got a rucksack on, right? And someone just adds a little bit of weight and then just, but over time, now you're carrying like 100 more pounds than you started with. And you're just like, it's almost like, and then you get strong in carrying that weight, right? And this is a bad analogy. I should went down this road because getting stronger is usually a good thing. Trying to make it a bad thing, but it's like, but how to? It's like when you try to take that off, you can't. Like you're stuck with it. Yeah. And yeah, yeah, it'll break your body down. Yeah. Who's got knees that are a little rough for a back that's yeah. Yep. There. Freedom. Yeah. 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 Mhm. Ooh, and oh, see, oh, and this time actually, the analogy does work. Just reminded me of something similar to what C.S. Lewis talks about, where it's like, if you've read the or heard, I've listened to it a couple of times. The Great Divorce. It's a fictional telling of a bus that leaves Earth and goes into the outskirts of heaven, and these spirits come and invite these people who are on the bus into heaven, and heaven is more real than the place that they came from. And human beings that like got on the bus and went to heaven, they're basically shadows and spirits compared to the reality of what heaven is. And it's really interesting. Like they try to walk on the grass, but it's so fundamentally more real than what they're used to that it like pokes through their feet. Like it's harder, it's more real, it's more substantial. And there's a guy who has this little lizard on his shoulder, and it represents his lust. And it constantly speaks to him about all of the wonderful fantasies that the lizard will give him if he doesn't kill it. And there's a spirit that tells him, just let me kill this lizard that's on your shoulder. And he goes, no, 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 no. I don't know if I can do this. It's okay. And the lizard's like, no, no, no. You don't know what that guy's gonna do to me. If I die, then you're not gonna have all these wonderful dreams, and I can give them to you, and you can have all these wonderful dreams. And the man's trying to choose whether he wants to engage more in his lust or find out what his lust was actually meant for, what how it expresses itself in the real world, which is the heavenly world, right? And so the spirit breaks the breaks the lizard in half or breaks its neck, and it turns into this stallion. He gets on the stallion and rides it up to the mountain of God. Finds out what like lust is a shadow of what is actually real, which is this deep loving relationship that we can experience with Christ, but it's also analogous to the marriage relationship, which is why the marriage metaphor is used between God and his people. All of those ideas come together in 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 the reality of our relationship with Christ, but lust is just a mere shadow of it. And so tying back to what you're talking about with the rucksack, you could have this rucksack of lust on your shoulders and it weighs you down. And it's just like, but once that is taken off and you direct your passions towards what is actually real and appropriate, you are all the stronger for actually pursuing those things. And God can take something that's evil and wrong and somehow make it right. And it's amazing how he can do that. That analogy does work. It just took a while. It took a while to get there. Oh man. Yeah. And then you can help others with it. That's right. And then as part of your testimony, you can help others overcome as well. Ah, the Lord's so good. Hmm? Actually, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. That was a really good illustration. Yeah, that's yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Hmm. It's yeah, it's more concrete. Yeah. 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 Right. So at least as far as this example goes, um, exegetically, or I mean, just using Genesis 129 as an incorrect passage to justify that. We've touched on other scriptures that we could go to in talking with someone who's trying to justify using uh, marijuana. In this case, could be other things. And then in talking about those other things, we came to this passage, and in context, he's talking about fornication within at Corinth. But that phrase "brought under the power of any," I'm summarizing, um, could be applied to a lot of different things. And we've talked about it's really easy to talk about like the obviously bad things, right? Drugs, alcohol, like fill in the blank. There's lots of those things. What are some things that, like what Tammy was saying, that are good things, but when they become a God thing, they become a bad thing? Those, because my guess is that most of the people in this room probably don't have a problem with drugs. That'd be my guess. But I could be wrong about that. And you've been very open about your struggle with drugs. So I know at least one person in the room. Like this is hitting at least personally. But I think probably most people in here, those aren't the things. But what are the things? Because remember, if you're trying to apply scripture, you have to think about who the audience is and then make application to where they're at. So where are you at? And how would this being brought under the power of any be applied to you? What are the good things that become God things for you? Anything taken out of moderation? It's still too vague. Like specific. Say again? Food. Okay. I don't, right. Yeah, her bacon's so good. It's like, oh, Yes, sir. Mm, yeah. What are those things? Mm-hmm. I can. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We have unconditional love, healing from trauma, from another human being. Yeah. Yeah. Come Scott. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, I need you to make me feel good about myself. And so it's like, well, I guess we just can't both be in a bad mood at the same time. It's like, right? Because if you're not okay, then I'm not okay. And it's like, that's dangerous. Like, you're putting so much pressure on your spouse to provide something that they were never intended to provide. Only God can do that. And it's like, yeah, that's just so, oof. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's true. That's 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 hard-won wisdom. The alarm went off, so stop recording.